The contemporary Yoruba theatre of Ogunde, as I mentioned earlier on its own, it's very ritualistic. That is, Ogunde, the father of modern Yoruba theatre or Nigerian theatre, if you wish to call him that, believed very much in Yoruba traditional culture, and so therefore he did not depart totally from the practice of the theatre of the masquerade, that is traditional Yoruba theatre and drama. The reason for this is not far-fetched. For instance, he also believed in ritual, that is appeasing the gods and goddesses and other spiritual beings around, especially within the area where he's going to perform. So he also offered animals such as chicken, goats, or pigeon, fowl as sacrifice to the gods and goddesses. That is a pure sacrifice. And also his sacrifice did not go without other elements such as chants and song and dance to appease the gods and goddesses. So therefore, there is a thin line between traditional Yoruba theatre and the contemporary Yoruba theatre, which was championed by Hubert Ogunde and many others that can be read on many publications where we have discussion on Yoruba theatre and drama in Nigeria. And again, even the performance of Hubert Ogunde is highly ritualistic. What do I mean? Just like the theatre of the traditional Yoruba setting, Hubert Ogunde theatre too also adopt this style. I've said that the Yoruba mask theatre emerged from the developmental phase, ritual, festival, and theatre. Even Hubert Ogunde's theatre can be linked with these developmental phases, that is the ritual, the festival, and theatre. So therefore, we cannot really separate the theatre of Hubert Ogunde from the ritual or from festival. I will come to that later. That is looking at the theory of festivalization proposed by Temple Offlish in 2007. I will use the theory to buttress my points as regard explanation into the two types of the theatre before going to the third one. The beginning of Ogunde's theatre or performance, at every given occasion, we always start with Ijuba, that is the ceremonial opening, which is always used, or which was always used to pay homage to the gods and goddesses, or to appease the gods and goddesses for a successful outing. Ogunde adopted this style and so therefore followed it until a later period of his career in the theatre. But we notice that many available literature on Ogunde's theatre or Yoruba theatre, contemporary Yoruba theatre, or centenary Yoruba theatre, affirmed that Ogunde followed the logical placement or the sequence of traditional African or Yoruba traditional theatre. And I'll give an example of what Ogunde also did. The Juba, that is the beginning, must be used or was used to appease the gods and goddesses. And the dance, just like the theatre of the masquerade, the dance was also to appease the deity, the Orisha, along with Bata dance, the dance I mentioned earlier, that the people who are drummers, who come from that family of drummers, are those who are choosing to beat the drum. For instance, I cannot beat the drum. Even if I learn now, the way I'm going to beat the drum may not make sense, may not be musical, like those who have come from the family of the dramas. Then the drama itself, that is a drama with a storyline. We should not forget that the major difference, one of the major difference about these two types of theater, which are not too dissimilar, is that the first one, the beginning, was the theater of the mask, that is the masquerade. But in the early 40s, Ogunde took the theater away from the court of the masquerade and combined it with the practices of the Western culture, that is the church, where he started using the storylines in the Bible and the well-known folklore or folk tale of the Yoruba people to tell a story in his performance. And I also mentioned that majority of his performances were operatic in nature, that is the combination of acting, music, and musical instruments. So that is Ogunde's theater. Then the last one, Ogunde also have the finale, that is the closing of the play. It is usually acted by the leader of the troupe, that is Ogunde himself, to display his flexibility, versatility, and the mask is that is Ogunde's theater is more or less improvisational. That is, most time is acting just like the masquerade. We now have a script. The traditional Yoruba traveling theater and the contemporary traveling theater of Ogunde, of the Yoruba people, does not have a script. They are not with any script. The performance was based highly on improvisation. So it means most time the less actors must learn the act, the trade from the most senior. For instance, Ogunde was the most senior, the owner of his troupe. And again, it is very important that I add to it that the traditional Yoruba theater operates on a form of repertory system. That is, a company or a troupe could have several productions from a stockpile of different stories they must have acted in the past. So they can always repeat, and they adopt each production to suit each occasion of their performance. Whatever they want to perform, they make sure that it suits that particular period, time, and occasion. So what I'm saying here is that there is a thin line, there is a relationship between traditional Yoruba theater, traveling theater, and that of Ibat Ogunde. Before I now go to the third phase, which is the drama of literary writers, I would like to say that Temple's theory, that is the theory of festivalization, is very important to these two phases, at least, if not totally with the third one, which I'm yet to discuss. Temple's proposition is very simple. What his study revealed is that the festivals, the different festivals in Africa that we do in Africa, if you look at them and put them together, they can be referred to as performances on their own. That is, if you look at this traditional traveling Yoruba theater and the theater of Ibat Ogunde, which is the contemporary Yoruba theater, it's a kind of, if you like, you may disjoint them. If you look at them, the beginning, which is to appease the gods and goddesses, the middle, that's maybe the dance, the acting, and the last, which is the finale. If you look at them separately in Yoruba setting, we appease the gods during festivals, we dance, we chant, we play the musical instruments. So if you put everything together, they become a total performance. And scholars of Nigerian theater, such as Wole Soyinka, Olarotimi, Femi Osofisa, we always refer to Yoruba theatre as a total theatre. What do they mean? We are talking about the theatre where dance is very important, chants, the beating of local instruments, drumming, singing, acrobatic display, and some element of magic. So that is why even in the classroom, when we teach Yoruba theatre or African theatre, we always refer to African theatre, Yoruba theatre as a total theatre. That is a theatre where you find all these other elements, artistic elements, combined into one. So that is why I will say the traditional traveling Yoruba theatre and that of contemporary theatre adopt this kind of style of what Temple is saying. That is, different festivals for different occasions can be combined together, and it will give us what can be termed as a total theatre. In Tunde'S theatre, we find all these elements there. So now to the last phase of the theatre I'm talking about, which is the theatre of the literary dramatist of Nigeria. Wole Soyinka, a Yoruba man. Olarotimi, a Yoruba man. Femi Osofison, a Yoruba man. So we should not expect less. This is not to say that all their theatre, all their published plays are based on Yoruba history or mythology or Yoruba cultural heritage. That is not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that strongly and definitely all these playwrights and many others like Wale Ogunyemi and many others borrowed from the Yoruba cultural and traditional heritage. And I will explain what I'm trying to say. For instance, if you look into Death and the King Osman, written by Wole Soyinka, it tells the story of Old Oyo Kingdom, where Eleshoba, as you see, supposed to follow the ritualistic example of his forefathers. That is, after the demise of a king, the Eleshoba must accompany the king. That is the king who just passed away to the life beyond. That is the life of his ancestors. But Eleshoba did not do that. It's Olunde, who happened to be his son, his first son, a medical doctor trained abroad in London, to be precise, who respect the culture and tradition of his people, to come back home, that is to Nigeria, the old Oyo Kingdom, and fulfill the passage of rites to follow his ancestors. That is a ritual on its own. I mean, Soyinka himself, for once, has never disassociated himself from the Yoruba culture and tradition. He claimed to have been a follower of Ogun, or a worshipper of Ogun, and Ogun, as we know, is a deity, is a god in Yoruba land, of the Yoruba people. Not only among only the Yorubas in Africa, even some Yorubas who were taken as slaves many years back in the Caribbean still worship many of these gods, like Shango, Oya, Obatala, even Ogun. But the names may sound a little bit different. Like, for instance, in the Caribbean, Shango is called Shango. And many names, because of the difference of cultural affiliation and cultural experience over the years, their tongue has changed, but they still pronounce these names almost the same way. So what I'm saying is that in the Death and the King Osman, written and first staged by Wole Soyinka, we notice the great aspect of a great influence of ritual in his play Death and the King Osman, and many other plays written by Soyinka. If you also look at the play of Olarotimi, we notice that in The Gods Are Not to Blame, the consultation with Ifa priest, and the cry of Odewale to Ogun for help shows that ritual is a key factor in the developmental stages of Yoruba theatre. And I'm not surprised. Why? Because the belief of a writer will also play a role in his work or in our work. Even though we always talk sometimes about the death of an author in artistic work, but the truth and the bottom line and the scientific result is that many times, many instances, we find the belief, at least resemblance of the belief of a writer in his work or in our work. In The Gods Are Not to Blame, the beginning shows the birth of a newborn baby into the royal family, and it is mandatory for the king and the wife and the family to invite the priest to know the future of the baby. And Olarotimi simply weaved Yoruba story, Yoruba setting, Yoruba culture with the Greek mythology of Oedipus Rex. Because in the play there was there is what was it called now? There is a vision that the boy will kill his father and marry off his mother. And truly, all these were seen towards, at least from the beginning down to the end of the play. But the practice of ritual also rear its head, because the major character or the main characters rely for a better period or better time of the play on the gods and the goddesses. And once we talk about the gods and the goddesses or the spiritual power, the discussion about ritual cannot be removed. And even when the town people visit the palace to complain about the famine, about the death, about the sickness in the land, we listen to Odewale asking them or telling them that he has appeased the gods. How do you appease the god in Yoruba setting, if not without doing some rituals to the gods and the goddesses? But he also let them know that ritual alone cannot solve human problem, but they should all go to the farm or go to the forest and look for herbs and roots to boil for their sick family members. That is, Olarotimi combined the belief in the gods and goddesses, and also tells the reader or the audience who watch The Gods Are Not to Blame that, look, when you take care of the spiritual aspect, maybe through ritual, through worship, you should also do the needful. That is, the practicality, the practical requirements of healing. That is, those days there wasn't any doctor or a pharmacist, especially in Yoruba land, in Nigeria, in Africa. But we go for herbs, we go for roots in the forest, and our forefathers will always put all these things in a pot and cook them and boil them, and when we drink them, we I mean, even in today's Nigeria or Yoruba land, there are success story of people who use local herbs and roots from the forest to take care of sickness such as malaria, cold, and headache. So what I'm saying is that even the modern Nigerian playwrights, who are called modern literary dramatists, which we have people like Soyinka, Olarotimi, Femi Oshofisan, in many of their works still discusses or still have the topic of ritual discussed in the theme and subject matter in their play, in their drama. In conclusion, what this paper is trying to bring out to the listeners and the audience is that the Yoruba theater that I'm talking about is not the theater and drama written in Yoruba language, but the traditional theater of many years that was performed by the masquerade. And later in the early 40s, when the contemporary theater and drama practitioners in Yoruba land started their type of theater, people like Hubert Ogunde, Duro Ladipo, Kola Ogunmola, and later Ade Afolayan and many others emulate the traditional way of our performance, and they also dig deep into Yoruba culture and start using folk lore, folk tales, proverbs, and many other cultural properties or materials to do their own theater. But one thing that is very sure, as I've explained, and when this paper is ready, that the readers will notice, is that the ritual is very important to the development of Yoruba theater, and perhaps it will not be a surprise thing to see a new play in 2015-2016 where the issue of ritual will be discussed, or the importance of ritual will be emphasized when a Yoruba or a non-Yoruba playwright or theater maker will do a play that will also reveal that ritual is very important, because we like it or not, ritual was a way of life. But we must also add that even as of today, there are Yorubas who also believe in ritual, who also believe in traditional setting, in traditional and cultural religion of the people. And so therefore, once you believe that, the importance of ritual is known to you, and you want to retain that, because as we believe, what we believe in is our religion. Thank you very much.